I have horrible news. One, I'm about to be on the clock here. And two, my pick may end up getting changed because I've loved drafting Jahmyr Gibbs at pick 6 and pick 7 this offseason. Held my first $500 draft of the offseason. Who did I decide to take at pick 6? Jahmyr Gibbs. I was saying there was a clear tier of 6 guys. You rank them however you want between Barkley, Bijan, Gibbs at running back, and then over at wide receiver, you have Jefferson, Chase, and Lamb. Now things get a little bit more interesting because we have the All-Pro, we have the #1 PFF graded run blocker, center for the Detroit Lions, announcing his retirement. I'm pretty sure the man just turned like 29 years old. So a big thesis that you have with Jahmyr Gibbs, with David Montgomery, is they're in one of the best offenses in the league. Why are they in one of the best offenses in the league? One, because it's a great coaching staff, and two, because they have an elite offensive line. Now, not only do you have to be concerned about the offensive coordinator going over to Chicago, but you also have to be concerned potentially about their offensive line getting much worse as well. So I think this will negatively impact both Jahmyr Gibbs as well as David Montgomery. I would be expecting that at the very minimum, I will be moving Montgomery down my rankings. I think you possibly end up seeing Jahmyr Gibbs slide down draft boards as well. Now, for me personally, at pick 7, if I get the opportunity to take Gibbs, where it looks like we are getting that opportunity now, I'm still going to pull the trigger and I'm still going to take Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, I was in the Fantasy Stock Exchange live stream earlier today. I asked them what they thought this retirement meant, if they were going to decide to move Jahmyr Gibbs down their rankings. And they essentially said that you can't, because even if Gibbs projects out, like from a median perspective, to maybe be like the RB5, or maybe you think Jahmyr Gibbs is more in line with his median projection of guys that are going to go at picks 10, 11, 12. You do have the outside chance of seeing Jahmyr Gibbs at any point of the season immediately vault up to being the #1 overall player in fantasy football, and it may not be remotely close. And that outcome is if David Montgomery himself gets injured. Like, we can go through and we can look at what happened last season, right? Where Montgomery in the final 4 weeks, or let's just say the final 3 weeks, David Montgomery does not play in those games. Then we go through and look at Jahmyr Gibbs in those weeks, or the final 4 weeks, because Jahmyr Gibbs obviously took over as that really full-time back in week 15 with 74% of the snaps because Montgomery gets injured. And he has 28, 25, 26, and then 46 fantasy points. So you still may end up needing to take Jahmyr Gibbs there. Honestly, I freaking love Devon Achane. I mean, this is a start that yesterday I would have been jumping up and down with. Just an immense amount of joy to go with Gibbs and Devon Achane out the gate. Now I'm definitely a little bit less excited about it, but we're still going to run with it. We're still going to take Gibbs and Achane. Of course, thank you for everybody coming out to this live stream. I know we are much earlier than usual, but hell, we are not at the studio, so we are maybe a little bit off schedule, but hit the bell next to the subscribe button if you want to be able to come out and draft with us in these live streams, no matter when we are drafting. If you're wondering why we are drafting a fantasy football team on June 2nd, maybe you're living under a rock, but let me explain what best ball fantasy is for you real quick. Best ball fantasy drafts are drafts where you have no time commitment at all during the season. Your best automatic starting lineup is going to be submitted for you at the end of every single week. And at the same time, we're going to go extremely deep. I may end up taking Audric Estime, Jalen Tolbert at the end of this draft. Honestly, you're going to draft the grossest names ever, so there will be no waiver wire. That's what allows me to draft a ton of teams outside of the main team I care about and still have that main team I care about to work with through the season. But if you wanted to hop in a draft with us, of course, you can find a link to Underdog Fantasy and the live chat. In the promo code is code FLOCK. If you want to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000, plus on top of that, you'll be getting our 2025 Fantasy Football Draft Guide cheat sheet and rankings for this season. I did see that we have a question in the chat previously asking how you're going to get that cheat sheet. Essentially, once it's fully complete, which will be a lot closer to the time that you're actually going to do your fantasy football draft, probably next month in July, it will be emailed to the email address you signed up to Underdog Fantasy with in 2025. And you can, of course, find that URL right above me as well. But thank you for everybody coming out. Yes, I'm sure Underdog will have plenty of $3 tournaments. Every single year they have $3 tournaments through the entire season. Nick says, Mason, I'm Jeep's worst nightmare in the Flock Mod Dynasty League. We also just traded Ayuk, Najee, and Terrence Ferguson for JT Mooney, Coker, and next year's second. Well, congrats on having a monstrous team for the future, my friend. We went ahead and looked at that team for them earlier. We're going to go with Jackson Smith and Jigba. After taking Gibbs and Achane in rounds 1 and 2, very much we are incentivized to just hammer in wide receivers over the middle round. So if you look at like my rankings on the site at the moment, or if you look at my rankings, especially when I get you all those draft guide cheat sheets, I will have Chase Brown over Jackson Smith and Jigba. But with the Gibbs Achane start, we really need to be catching up on receiver here. Hootie Moose says, is Underdog available in Michigan? Yeah, so Underdog is in Michigan. Here's a state of everywhere that Underdog is in, my friend. If your state's yellow, you can draft on Underdog. But Cool Man says Brees at the 301 is insane, right? So a big thing that team's doing at 1 is they're going with a unique combo. They're going to go Chase Brown, T. Higgins, and then Brees Hall. And if you look at why they would do this, obviously Underdog's a massive tournament. Best Ball Mania is. This is a $25 buy-in, $2 million for first place. You're going up against a bunch of teams throughout the context of this entire tournament once you get to the fantasy football playoffs. And here, Brees Hall only goes at the 3-4 turn of drafts. So there are going to be a lot of teams that drafted Brees Hall that also have Brian Thomas, that also have Malik Neighbors, that also have Amon-Ra St. Brown. But very, very, very few Jamar Chase and Brees Hall combinations. So let's go through the hypothetical scenario that Brees Hall turns out to be, I don't know, the RB3 in fantasy this year in points per game. And through the final 3 weeks, weeks 15, 16, 17, he drops a couple weeks with 30 points and turns out to be like last year's Jonathan Taylor. And if Chase is the wide receiver 1 again, you may be one of the only teams in that playoff tournament that has those two players together, which obviously would be very exciting. Now for us, we are going to go ahead and we're going to reach on a receiver. I will take Devonta Smith here. This will set us up with the possibility of being able to get Jalen Hurts on the way back around at pick 55. By no means is that going to be a guarantee, right? But one thing that's maybe a little bit exciting for that possibility is the team at 8 that has A.J. Brown is going to be on the other side of us. So if there were somebody in this draft that really cared about that stack and wanted to go with their quarterback stacked up with their receivers, there's a very realistic shot that they decide to pass on Jalen Hurts at the beginning of the 5th round when they don't have A.J. Brown, when they don't have Devonta Smith, and I'm the team that ends up walking away with him. In reality, the reason I'm reaching on him here is just, again, I'm desperate for some wide receiver production. I'm not a big fan of taking Jamison Williams here in the middle of the 4th, especially if we think that the overall offense is going to be falling a bit in Detroit based off the offensive line downgrade. So we'll take Smith and we'll move on. But Sam says Chase Brown would have been different of a start with 3 running backs. It for sure would have. Like if you were going to try to go with the craziest start possible and you wanted to go Gibbs, Achane, and Chase Brown, I'm not going to fault you at all for it. I've just done enough of these drafts where I know I'm going to want some running backs later. And I think at wide receiver here, we can afford to go with JSN instead. I think JSN has a nice floor ceiling combo. Jalabi says, random question, do you have a public Strava? I did not start using Strava until last week, because I used to use the Apple Watch Ultra, which I just use like the Apple version, like the health app, the fitness app. But since I had to get a Garmin for the 100-mile race on Friday, I just downloaded Strava last week. I have no idea if it's public or not. If it is public, I probably don't want to give it to y'all, because if I do a lot of runs from my house, I don't know if y'all are going to be able to see exactly where I live. And I prefer that not to be the case. Okay, DK Metcalf going off at 53. So we were 1 pick away from getting Jalen Hurts and getting that natural pairing that we discussed with Devonta Smith. If we don't get Jalen Hurts, I think instead we probably will pivot over and take another receiver here. But no, we are going to get Jalen Hurts, pair him up with Devonta Smith. Actually, getting Hurts at 55, I definitely like this price point a lot more than like Jaden Daniels at 44 personally. So feel great about getting Hurts here. But Swizz World says, I'm surprised JSN isn't your most drafted player. I actually haven't taken a ton of JSN, to be honest with you. Let me see exactly how much Jackson Smith and Jigba I have in these drafts. Maybe I have taken a lot of them and I just haven't realized. I have JSN in 10% of drafts. So I guess actually I am slightly ahead of JSN compared to the market. Okay. Yeah. Party at Mason's. We'll do a public Strava. Everybody come over at 9 a.m. or wake me up. Come over at 6 a.m. and we'll all go together. So after we take Hurts, the team right next to us actually starts 5 wide receivers straight, going with Calvin Ridley at 56. Now, I'm not opposed in underdog drafts to start 5 wide receivers out the gate. But typically, whenever I'm doing so, it's because like, oh, I really like the value with the wide receivers that I got through the first 3 or 4 rounds, which you can make an argument that maybe this team did. But in like round 5, unless I get a really strong value falling to me, like unless I had like DK Metcalf fall, unless I had like Cortland Sutton fall, I don't necessarily know if you want to be going like Calvin Ridley over RJ Harvey. Like for that team, I probably would have gone Harvey in round 5. Slick Willie decides to go Trayvon Henderson there at pick 61. Moving this over, you do have Burrow falling. We're going to assume, of course, this isn't a guarantee, but I think it's a decent probability that that team at 1 ends up getting Burrow, making it back to them because they have both Chase and Higgins. Like for me personally, I'm not taking Joe Burrow here, considering the fact that we don't have that potential stack, while at the same time, we already have Jalen Hurts. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Chris Olave. Again, big thing is we are playing catch up at wide receiver. Might as well just build out only Alabama and Ohio State wide receivers. Let's go JSN, Chris Olave, Devonta Smith. If we go only Ohio State and Alabama wide receivers, we should have plenty of options through the rest of this draft. Okay. LC says, how far in the run would we get before we are swarmed by women? I mean, if I put my Strava on public and just publicly told everyone in this live stream where I live, are we not going to act like every sorority at UT's not immediately pulling up within 30 seconds? They would literally have to shut roads down. The traffic would get so bad. I wouldn't get out the front door. I'd be barricaded. If y'all have seen Blue Mountain State after the win, that's how it would be like. I'd be barricaded in my house doing anything I can to stay safe. SC says, my sister goes UT. She's been stalking you, Mason. Yeah, I actually been helping her study. She's come a long way. My friend. But let's see. After we go with Olave, Debo off the board at 68. I've taken very little Debo Samuel. I've honestly taken very little both the Commanders wide receivers. So it does feel like a little scary because it is a possibility that Daniels just goes absolutely nuclear this season. Where are we at? Hawkinson off at 76. So far, quarterback, we have Hurts. Running back, we have Gibbs, Achane. Wide receiver, we have JSN, Devonta Smith, as well as Chris Olave. Okay. Jamie says, do you believe in the Madden curse? No, I don't. Let me look up Madden cover by year, and we'll see what's going on here. I think we need another receiver. I definitely prefer Quinshon Judkins over Ricky Pearsall, but based off our wide receiver room with how it currently is set up, I think we are just going to go ahead and we're going to take Ricky Pearsall and move on. But let me look up Madden cover by year. Because obviously we all saw that Barkley is the cover this year. The covers of the Madden video game. So let's see what this curse looks like. I don't know where this website's not pulling up what it was over the past 2 seasons. Let me just see if. Okay, we got history of the Madden cover athletes. How far does this go back? This isn't updated. I don't really play Madden, to be honest with you. I did way back in the day, but like the Madden I played the most of looking at these covers was for sure Madden 11. So I know that McCaffrey was the Madden cover last year, but I wouldn't even be able to tell you whoever was before that. I can't really find it online easily. So let's move this back. Brian says the only one to break it was TB12. The curse strikes about 59% of the time. Ayuk goes 86. I honestly think if you check my rankings, I have Ayuk over Ricky Pearsall. A reason I go Pearsall there in round 7 is there is a shot you get Ayuk in round 8 where I've just never seen Ricky Pearsall fall that far. So, I mean, I would have really liked the ability to take both of those players. And if we wanted to take both of them, we kind of had to take a shot on getting Sticky Ricky in round 7 and Ayuk making it to round 8. But Ayuk goes 4 picks before us. So that obviously does not happen. So we're going to take Darnell Mooney. We're just still playing catch up at wide receiver. This does give us the option for Michael Penix later. So now at receiver, we have JSN, Devonta Smith, Chris Olave, Ricky Pearsall, Darnell Mooney. So not a great wide receiver room, right? I'm not going to sit here and try to make an argument that, oh, yeah, I'm going to win this league based off the receivers I've drafted. In reality, we are just hoping to be okay at wide receiver. We're hoping to have enough production. Because running back, we're going to be great with Gibbs and Achane. We have the elite quarterback as well with Hurts. So Nick says, Mason, my girlfriend knows who I'm watching as soon as she hears your voice on my phone. Should I be worried? My concern is she told me she broke up with you. Are y'all still together? If so, I'm going to have to talk to her about that. That's not cool. Okay, let's see. Bones says, did anyone see the YouTube video they filmed Brady throwing in slow mode and analyze quarterback throws versus air and stuff? Cool stuff. I did not see that. I did see the Tom Brady Morgan Wallen golf outing, which was pretty cool. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, let's move this down. Jaden Higgins goes pick 98. So if we're looking at the quarterbacks that are going to be available to us here, Baker, we don't have any stacking options with. We could go Jalen McMillan as well as Cade Otton later. But, I mean, hell, if we're probably only drafting 2 quarterbacks on this team. We have Jalen Hurts, who is a week 9 bye. Baker, week 9 bye. No Baker stacks. There's no real reason for us to take Baker here. Caleb Williams, now that Luther Burden's gone, we could go Caleb and then follow it up with, like, Loveland in the next round. I think instead, maybe we take Jonnu Smith. We have Achane, so we can set ourselves up with the option to go with both Tua stacked with Achane and Jonnu. In reality, it feels like a very flat tier. I'm just trying to balance some things out because I've definitely drafted a lot more Travis Kelce than I have Jonnu Smith. And realistically, like, it may make sense to mix in Jonnu just in case he's able to continue what he did in the second half of last season. I don't want to have 0 Jonnu, and when we are going to take him, it probably makes sense to do so whenever we don't have Mahomes, when we don't have Lamar, because with those kind of builds, we're going to be wanting to go Kelce and Andrews here anyway. Okay, Bones says, pull it up on YouTube later. It's on the channel Very Straight Up. They got into the science of perfect spirals and how they're impossible with wind and stuff. I will check that out. That will be interesting. Cool Man says, I hate this range of tight ends, not going to lie. Yeah, it does feel like this grouping of tight ends with Jonnu, Kelce, and Andrews are very similar to like the tight ends that you're going to see over the next few rounds as well. So again, like, I'm not going to try to be super overweight Jonnu Smith by any stretch of the imagination. I just got an email that one of y'all found me on Strava, apparently. Oh, dear God. Once I can figure out how I can maybe turn the Let's move this down. Where are we going? Najee possibly, or do we go Shaheed? We're going to go Shaheed. We're still playing catch-up at receiver. If we take Shaheed here, we can make a consolidated bet by having Olave and Shaheed on the same roster that maybe the New Orleans Saints, which probably not, right? But also, we're probably not going to turn $25 into $2 million. But we could make a consolidated bet that maybe the passing offense is better than people are expecting this next season. Andrew says, do not worry about the Jonnu trade. I am assuming that they're bringing up a potential trade just because he wants a new contract. I have Jonnu in 6% of my draft, so I'm slightly underweight Jonnu. But yeah, if I can figure out how to turn like location off on Strava, which again, I've been on Strava for like a week essentially, I will for sure make that public for y'all, especially after the 100-mile race. No matter what, and I pray to God we finish the 100-mile race. In reality, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to jinx myself. But no matter what, I will make that public if I can for y'all so y'all can see the route and how slow we went. Sean says, Mason, who is your favorite pick in drafts at the moment, regardless of position? I will pull up my most drafted guy. I'm going to ignore the round 18 players. I think a round 18 name may be my most drafted player at the moment, but it's not really relevant for regular fantasy football. Quentin Johnston is still my most drafted player. I've stopped drafting Quentin Johnston when his price has increased a decent bit. I'm down to 18%. If y'all remember back when he had a later ADP, I was higher, about 24%. But technically, the big Q is still my most drafted non-round 18 player. We will, this is awkward. We're going to take Evan Ingram because I think it's a unique combo in comparison to where he usually goes in these drafts. We're getting him about 18 picks past ADP. The reason it's a little bit awkward is he does share the same bye week with Jonnu Smith. And when I decided to take a tight end in round 9 and then a tight end in round 11 as well, we're most likely going to be done drafting tight ends. So we're just going to have to eat like the expected 8 points or whatever it may be in week 12. And just say, you know what, we're optimizing for weeks 15, 16, 17, trying to have a unique combo and a high ceiling for that stretch anyway. Okay. Amon says, will there be a defense rankings video? If there will be, which I'm not promising you, I did not do defensive or kicker rankings for like the first 6 years uploading on this channel. And the reason is because I played in a bunch of pretty, I don't want to say weird leagues, but more so like, I don't even want to say industry leagues. With y'all know fantasy diehards don't play with kickers and defenses. If we're just going to be completely honest with each other. Playing with kickers and defenses is very much like a casual thing that you're doing on your ESPN league, on your Yahoo league, or whatever it is. Now, IDP obviously is very different. That's even a little bit further sicko mode. But I kind of just played in a lot of diehard leagues for a very, very long time. We were trying to make the flock league a little more relatable. So we have kickers and defenses that I started playing with again last year. But I went like probably 8 years without playing a kicker or a defense. So now maybe that I'm having to look into it, I'll throw out a rankings video right before the season starts when I have to do the research anyway for the flock league. But I'm not doing that anytime soon because there's no part of me at any point here that's thinking about DST streamers. We're going to take Trey Benson at 138 as my third running back. I'm sure a lot of y'all know, but I've mixed in a lot of Trey Benson in these drafts. Thinking that maybe he has a larger role this season with James Conner at 30. Also, if you look at the James Conner injury history and Conner, now that he is a 30-year-old running back, I think that if you had to pinpoint somebody that's, I don't want to say likely, but a possibility of missing some time, you could classify Conner as that. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't have a massive whiff passing on Tua because Tua goes right after. Obviously, we had potentially a Tua double stack here, but Tua did go like 14 picks ahead ADP, so definitely don't want to be reaching that far on him. Okay. I'm playing with the defense as well at this point. And I honestly think like the setup that I've never had more fun outside of maybe being like 12 years old, right? Maybe when I was 12 years old, 13 years old, or all the way through like 18, 19. How about this? In my 20s, I have never had more fun in a fantasy football league than the Flock League. Not even remotely close. And part of that was because we have a kicker and a defense. And it just introduces that randomness. And it's really, I got lucky with the kickers and defenses this past year. Like it didn't screw me the way that it screwed some other people. So it was kind of more amusing and funny, if anything. Like I said, we're probably not taking another tight end in this draft. If we decided to take a third, it'd probably be in like round 18. So we are really just kind of looking at quarterback, running back, wide receiver through the rest of this draft. Raphael says, hey, Mason, I think if Connor goes down, the Cardinals will most likely pass more. Of course they would, my friend. I would 100% agree with that. The team after us has already drafted 6 RBs, went with the wide receiver heavy start, 5 wide receivers out the gate, then drafts Kamara, Judkins, Pacheco, Sharp, Tootin, and Spears. Okay, Zach Ertz goes, ooh, this is an interesting spot because we have our guys staring at us in the face with the big Q. But the issue is I don't want to have to take like freaking, we're going to take Michael Penix. We'll pair up Michael Penix with Darnell Mooney, and they'll be done at quarterback. I don't have to wait until the very end and grab like Tyler Shuck to double stack with Olave and Shaheed. Because honestly, I'm kind of hoping that the New Orleans Saints, when we take Olave and Shaheed, find an out with some random quarterback that the play is a little bit better than we expect anyway. So we'll pass on the big Q. We'll take Michael Penix here instead. We'll pair him up with Darnell Mooney. He'll be our second quarterback alongside Jalen Hurts, and we'll be done drafting quarterback as well. Okay. Nick says, Mason, let me audition for the Flock League. I've got my resume with the puppy win. Maybe I will open it up and we can do some type of, the thing is I'm going to have to get everybody in the Flock League on board to do some type of giveaway to get one of y'all in the Flock League. Like we'd have to have auditions or something where y'all have to send in clips. How about this? If you are really wanting in the Flock League, I'll put it out right now and I'll show the other guys if you send something. And we're definitely not just going to accept you immediately. Before we had locked you in for a spot, I would have to put out the bat signal and tell everybody to submit their audition clips. But if you submit a good enough audition clip, then maybe we open it to the public. Email me, Mason Dodd, D-O-D-D, at flockfantasy.com. A clip explaining why you would be a great fit for the Flock League. I would try to make it funny because in reality, if you make it very boring, there's no reason for me to bring it up to the other guys. Make it entertaining the way that your clips would need to be entertaining during the season. If it was me, I would have no idea what to do. But here's the requirements. And I'll pay for everything. I'll pay for your flights to Austin. I'll pay to put you up in a hotel. If you get in the Flock League, I'll cover it all. And $0 buy-in, and we'll have a pretty big first place prize that I'll just pay for. But send me an email with the clip. Preferably just upload it to YouTube as an unlisted video so I can just click it and watch it. Maybe we'll watch it on this live stream. You're warned. It maybe will get shown on this live stream. Make it entertaining and explain why you want to be a member of the league. Vadim says, what if I'm not funny? If you're not funny, you're probably not going to be able to make it. If you're not, it has to be funny. I'm not funny. So we need somebody bringing some comedy element to it. Kevin says, does anyone know how long Mason generally takes to answer a trade question submitted on the Flock site? Right now, during the off season, maybe it's a little bit longer. Usually during the year, I do it the same day. I believe I don't have any. I just pulled this up. I don't have any trade questions waiting. So If you submitted me a trade question, it should already be answered. Just go to your reviews. We are just running back wide receiver through the rest of this draft. Probably going to take 5 running backs, take 9 wide receivers, but we have the elite quarterback with Hurts. I'm looking at Pat Bryant, DeAndre Hopkins. Don't really like any of those receivers. I've actually taken Keenan Allen more than these other guys, but I've already mentioned that I think Marvin Mims is one of the worst picks in these drafts. I think Bo Nix is just fine, so maybe we do have to find our exposure to this Broncos offense somewhere. So we'll mix in Pat Bryant. We'll pair him up with Evan Ingram and make that consolidated bet on what if the Denver Broncos offense is better than people are expecting. Kevin says, if I were to submit it now, would you review it? Yeah, if you want to submit it now, I'll look at it for you, my guy. Okay, let's move this down. And now running back, we have Gibbs, Achane, Trey Benson, Austin Eckler. Quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts stacked up with Devonta Smith. We have Michael Penix stacked up with Darnell Mooney. Tight end, we have Jonnu and Evan Ingram. And then at wide receiver, we have JSN, Devonta Smith, Chris Olave, Ricky Pearsall, Darnell Mooney, Shaheed, Pat Bryant. We're going to get 2 more receivers with this team and 1 more running back. Okay. J. Rob says, what if I just got my wisdom teeth out and I can barely talk right now, though? You can wait. Like I said, I'm not officially putting this out to the public yet. I'm not going to make a video and an announcement by any means. This is just for the people in this live stream right now. If somebody submits a really good clip, maybe you'd be the reason why it does end up getting open to the public. We'll take J.K. Dobbins as our 5th running back. I've been mixing in a decent amount of Dobbins. It does not feel great. The hope is, what if he does find himself in a spot like Dallas? I think there are a couple different situations at the moment that the running back depth chart is very shaky in a good offense, like Chicago, like Washington, like Dallas. So I've been mixing in J.K. Dobbins. I don't feel great about it, but it is what it is. And of course, we're going to be hopping in another draft after this one, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Moe says, should I stop at 6 wide receivers? What's your team? Oh, Moe's right after us. Let's see. Started 5 wide receivers out the gate and has the big Q. If this was like the eliminator, I'd for sure stop. But what's the alternative in the last 2 rounds? It's like 1 tight end, 1 receiver. If I only had Travis Kelce and my next tight end's going to be in round 17, I'd prefer to draft 3 tight ends. So, yeah, I'd be drafting. I think if I was drafting your spot, of course, I'm not saying that I know what I'm doing by any means. I would do a 3 quarterback, 6 running back, 6 wide receiver, 3 tight end build. I probably wouldn't draft a 7th receiver if I drafted 5 out the gate and then the big Q in round 13. Okay. Woody Marks goes. And maybe I'm just saying that selfishly because I need to draft 2 more wide receivers. Hot Wheels on the clock. Who only has 5 receivers, so you assume they go receiver here. They go Diami Brown, 197. Keenan Allen goes. I'm not a big Jalen Coker guy. Boom. We're going to take another free agent that I've drafted a lot of that I don't feel great about with Amari Cooper. If we're looking at Amari, the Bills gave a 3rd-round pick for this dude last year, and he's only 31. Maybe it was just the injury at the end of the season, which limited him. Maybe it was just hard for him to learn a new offense halfway through the season. Maybe he ends up signing with the team. Now, for anybody who's been with us for a very, very long time, you can maybe remember back in the day, the first year we started drafting in Underdog drafts, we weren't even doing tournaments at this time. We were just doing private drafts with the live stream. I drafted a lot of Will Fuller. I was drafting a lot of Will Fuller, hoping that he was going to sign, thinking he was going to sign and all of a sudden be a difference-making player in best ball. The dude never touched an NFL field. So that's still very much in the range of outcomes here for Amari Cooper. Like, I would not be advocating for anybody to follow my path and draft a lot around 18 Amari, because it could just be an absolute disaster. Okay, and who else do we want here? The other guy that I've been drafting a lot of, to be honest, is Jalen Tolbert, just with the thought process of a lot of these players. I have no idea what their role's really going to be. Jalen Tolbert's going to be the wide receiver 3 in a respectable offense. So I'll take him. And let's move this over. Running back, we have Gibbs, Achane, Benson, Eckler, Dobbins. Wide receiver, JSN, Devonta Smith, Chris Olave, Ricky Pearsall, Darnell Mooney, Shaheed, Pat Bryant, Amari Cooper, Jalen Tolbert. Quarterback, we have Hurts paired up with Devonta Smith. We have Penix paired up with Mooney. Tight end, we have Jonnu and Evan Ingram. Looking at the offenses that we are in on at this point, we're in on Miami with Achane and Jonnu. We are in on Philadelphia with Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts. We are in on New Orleans with Olave and Shaheed. We are in on Atlanta with Darnell Mooney and Michael Penix. And I don't know if we said Denver with Pat Bryant and Evan Ingram as well. But let me move this over. And my computer's been funky since we got to this new Airbnb with location stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and enter in another Best Ball Mania draft on the phone. In 1, 2, 3, I'm in. Okay. Raphael says, I think keeping one spot open every year for the Flock League and have us interview it could actually be good. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, I don't want to officially say that it's going to be something we're doing because there's a chance that y'all just send us the worst clips ever imaginable. That I'm like, okay, I have literally zero interest in trying to make this a thing. So I'm saying if somebody sends a really good clip in where I'm like, hey, this is hilarious, this actually is going to improve the videos, then we can open it up. But let's move this over. We're going to get pick numero uno. And it looks like we have a decent amount of y'all in this draft with us as well. This looks to be a very, very tough draft at this point. But obviously we have Vinny, who's in every single draft with us, in at pick 5. Cameron in here at pick 11. We have Bryce in here at pick 8. TJ reminding us that, yes, I used to be able to win tournaments on Underdog before I got washed up. And you know what they say? They say that you peak as an underdog drafter at, how old was I when I won those tournaments? 24? They say when you're 24, that's when you are best at drafting underdog teams. By the time you're 26, you're washed up. It's GG's. Okay. Nick says his clip will be top tier. I'm just excited to see what you look like, Nick. That's really my little scheme in all of this. I need to be able to put faces to the names that we have in the live chat. Bobby Hill says, Mason, hear me out. Start a farm league, relegate the worst team, and promote the best team. That is a very good idea. That is such, if we could, like say I had unlimited money, right? Because I'm investing a lot into the Flock League videos this year. Like last year we had a part-time editor. This year we'll have a full-time. If I had unlimited money, like if I win Best Ball Mania, we have a second league. Y'all audition for it. The winner of that league gets to be in the main one with all the creators. And the loser of the creator league gets regulated to the listener league. So like, just imagine like if Sal would lose the main league, he didn't get to play with us and he had to play against just a bunch of random people who won a spot. That'd be hilarious. That'd be really funny. But the issue is I would hope to get I would need 12 of y'all that are also submitting clips, and it would need to be like incorporated in the channel. Okay. Text says, can you not make your version of the Scott Fish Bowl or Mega Bowl winner gets in? I have too much already on my plate, my guy. Okay. Ball is Life says, Mason just wants to date. All our sisters don't lie. I don't want to, but that just ends up happening over time. Y'all play enough of these live streams in the background. They hear this silky smooth voice. So I think Kevin was the one asking about the trade questions on the site and if I could answer that in this live stream. I saw we got a trade question on the site. Let me know if you are in this stream right now, threaded from Flock Fantasy, and if you want me to answer this question right now. I don't want to answer this question on the live stream if you're not here. Okay. Kenny says, you're too young for my sisters, homie. I'm an old soul, my friend. I'm an old soul. Okay. CMC goes at pick 9 in this draft. CMC is really like the one player in these drafts at this point that has a wide range of outcomes on where he's going to go. I guess Genty as well. Genty falls down to pick 13. Like I said, the trend over the past few weeks has been McCaffrey rising and Genty falling consistently. Okay. Sean says, love Team 12 start. Yeah, Brian Thomas and Genty is a phenomenal start, and it's going to be unique at the same time. And we are going to be in absolute hell here, as we always are, at the 2-3 turn, where you're looking at such a flat tier that it's extremely difficult to figure out which direction you'd want to go in. Especially when you're at pick 1. When you're at pick 1, you're not going to get any falling values. So your ability to have a unique build is going to be extremely limited. I know this is going to be a common start, which makes me almost not want to do it. But the reason it's a common start is it has a lot of upside both for this season. And I know obviously a lot of people want to target that week 17 game as well. So we will take McBride and T. Higgins here at 24 and 25. I think it's almost the best we can do, even if I'm not a super, super big fan of like this 3-player combo, just because a lot of people are going to have it. Nathaniel says, is it a valid strategy to draft as many players with the same bye week and weekly winners? Yeah, I mean, if you want to sacrifice a week at possibly slightly increasing your opportunity to win one of the other 16, then go for it. But again, I would reiterate that I have never had success in weekly winners. I knew the second that tournament dropped, I was not going to be good at it. So I've maybe drafted 15 total weekly winners teams through the entire time we've been here. Okay, so this is Kevin's trade question. All right, so let's check this out for Kevin real quick. He says, is Harvey and a 1 too much, or any suggestions on what to do? So trading RJ Harvey in a future first to get Barkley does seem a little bit aggressive unless you're just an extremely strong contender. Looking at the squads, a 10-team start 9, 2-quarterback format where we have Purdy, Burrow, Najee, Hubbard, Malik Neighbors. I don't think you're strong enough to contender to do this. Actually, you have St. Brown, Higgins, Neighbors. Running back, we have Chuba. I think that's the kind of move that you make during the season once you confirm that you are a contender. Which we have a very strong team, don't get me wrong. But also, like, you can start to open up the year, RJ Harvey, Chuba Hubbard, Najee Harris, and see how it goes. So I'd rather hold on to our future first right this second. It's not like too good of a deal you can't pass up on. Okay. So we have a run on receivers here to start the 4th round with Worthy, Hunter, DJ Moore, Ted McMillan, Devonta Smith, all off the board. Super standard draft, right? We haven't seen anything crazy happen outside of Genty falling to 13. Outside of that, everything has seemed very normal. Sutton goes 43, which is definitely earlier than you usually see for Sutton. Daniels goes 46. Oh, hell yes. Now, this is freaking exciting. We are going to get the combo of James Cook as well as Amari and Hampton. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be screaming, well, Mason, we have both Chase and Higgins. Don't you need to get Joe Burrow? And yes, if you wanted to play it safe, you can reach on ADP and you can take Joe Burrow at pick 49. If you wanted to play it safe, you're more than welcome to do that. But I will reiterate how I personally draft here is I look at Burrow, a quarterback that does not have much rushing upside, going, you know why Burrow typically goes either the 4-5 turn or the 6-7 turn? It's because it's either the Chase or T. Higgins team that drafts him. That's why that Burrow ADP is where it's at. So just like we saw in the last draft, if you have Burrow and Higgins, I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to see if I can, if we have Chase and Higgins, I'm going to see if I can get Burrow at 72. Now, of course, people are going to say, well, it's risky. If Burrow doesn't go, your team's going to be much worse off. But my point is, as it always is, this is a $25 buy-in, $2 million to first place. If you want to get even to the finals in Best Ball Mania, I've been to the finals multiple times, and the way that I do it is I understand if you're trying to win BBM, you have to get lucky in week 17. You have to get lucky in week 16. You have to get lucky in week 15. You have to get lucky in the regular season. And you have to get lucky in the draft. You have to get lucky every step of the way. At any point, playing it safe is not going to allow you to turn $25 into $2 million. It ain't happening. So we're going to risk it. We're going to take James Cook, Amari, and Hampton. I think both running backs have an insane ceiling, particularly with Hampton. I think Hampton could be a top 5 running back in the final 3 weeks of the year. Obviously, early in the year, Najee is going to have a very large role, but I am in a very comfortable spot here with this start. I really do like it. So Rum goes 64. James Conner off 65. Lave 66. So I'd be very surprised if MSOS or MT Revolt decides to take Burrow where they're sitting with Jalen Hurts and Daniels as well. I really think these are the 3 teams that we're going to need to dodge. I think we're going to need to dodge Vinny, who snipes us a lot in these drafts. We're going to need to dodge Homer. Vinny goes Myers. So I think Homer is going to be the last team that we do have to dodge. And we'll see. Okay. Golden, Laporta both go. I just won Best Ball Mania. You're looking at a man who now has all the money, not just some of it. We have it all. We take Burrow at 72. Pair him up with Chase and Higgins. Make the consolidated bet. What if we get a repeat of last season? And what if Joe Burrow leads the NFL in passing yards and passing touchdowns? GG. Do not sign up for Underdog. Do not use code FLOCK. Do not enter into Best Ball Mania, because I'm telling you one thing. You have no shot to win. This is who you're going up against. You think you have a shot to win? You think you have a shot to do anything? Get a different hobby. Go walk the dog. Go fishing. Do anything but enter in BBM, because I just won the tournament. But let's go, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to take Judkins here over Montgomery with the news that we have with the Lions offensive line getting worse. And now we are going to be playing catch up at wide receiver, clearly. The Bengals offense has to do a lot of heavy lifting here. We have Chase Higgins, and that's it at receiver. Okay. Let's move this over. Drew says, Mason, you haven't won Jack in the past 2 years. It's not like I advanced 41 teams in the sprint last year. It's not like I had above average advance rates everywhere. It's not like I had a BBM team get to the finals last season. And it's not like I'm about to win Best Ball Mania this season. God dang. They hate us because they hate us. Yeah, go play fantasy hockey. Go do something. Go do anything else. But do not try to go up against us in this tournament. Okay. DeAndre Swift off 84. So now at this point, we're sending up a prayer that we have a wide receiver making it back, right? Like maybe the play should have been we just took Stephon Diggs. We just took Ricky Pearsall instead of Quinshon Judkins. I just absolutely love the Judkins profile. Like if Judkins went to a good offense, I think Quinshon Judkins should be going 15 picks before he is now. The issue is he's with the Browns, so I can't make that statement, right? Just given the fact that we should have a negative game script. The Browns, I believe, have the lowest win total in the NFL. So it's hard to make some big statement that like, oh, Quinshon Judkins is a league winner and the league's worst offense. Okay. Brian Robinson off 90. Bo Nix goes 91. Pacheco 92. The concern that you can't have with this team is when we're looking at our current setup with when these points are going to come. God dang. We're going to have to go Jaden Higgins. What I don't like is now this is going to be our third rookie within the first 8 rounds. I think we could also make the argument to go Kyler, stop with 2 quarterbacks here with the combo of Burrow and Kyler, have Kyler paired up with McBride. I just don't want to take Trey Harris. Like, there's no world in which taking Trey Harris is a better pick than Kyler Murray. There's no world in which I want to take another running back or a tight end here. So I'm going to take Kyler at 97, pair him up with McBride, and then we're going to be done at quarterback. And then with our running back room of James Cook, Marion Hampton, Quinshon Judkins, I'm not wanting to take a third rookie running back in Scattaboo. So no matter what, we have to take a wide receiver here. I would have preferred getting like Igbuka falling to us. I would have actually preferred getting like Igbuka at 96 and then followed up with Baker Mayfield immediately at 97. But let's see. Coolman says you got to go 2-4-10-2. I strongly disagree. We take a wide receiver at 1 overall, a wide receiver at 25 overall. Our first running back off the board at 48. There's no way this is a hyper-fragile team. This is very clearly a team in which we're drafting 5 running backs. Now, Najee goes off 102. Trey Harris off 103. Maybe if we would have gone a running back there, you could have made an argument. Stop at 4 RBs. But yeah. This is going to be a 2-5-9-2, in my opinion. Okay. Why did y'all mute Drew? There's no reason to have muted Drew. Just to make sure we're on the same page. Somebody's allowed to come out here and tell us that we have a bad draft. Do not mute them, please. I appreciate you, my guy, but don't do that, please. Tyron Tracy off the board, 109. Clearly what we're hoping is we're hoping to see as many quarterbacks get drafted as possible here, which may or may not happen. Goff, Evan Ingram both go. I'd prefer not to take a tight end, but if we get in a spot where like we're looking at Loveland versus Marvin Mims, I will warn you right now, I'm going to take the tight end. Even though we shouldn't. I will. Herbert goes 114. Jess says Downs over Jaden Higgins, but otherwise I like it. My friend Downs was long gone. Josh Downs went at pick 89. We took Jaden Higgins at 96. I would agree with you. If Downs was available, I would have taken Downs. Dak goes 116. Great news for us. Henry says, any chance for the big dog tonight? Do you know how many spots are open at the moment? Tootin goes. God dang it. We're going to take Sharp as our 4th running back. I really want Loveland here. But I don't know if we can justify the 2nd tight end before the 4th receiver on a build like this, especially if that player is going to be a rookie and we're already sitting with 3 rookies through the first 8 rounds. So I think we're going to pair up Christian Kirk, a player that I may not have taken in a single draft so far this year. We'll take Kirk, pair him up with Jaden Higgins, and go, what if Nico Collins gets injured? Or what if CJ Stroud gets back and he's a top 5 NFL quarterback with pass attempts, passing yards, and passing touchdowns? So clearly, everything our team hinges on at this point is Joe Burrow to lead the NFL in passing with Chase and Higgins. If that does not happen, this team's Dunskies. If that does happen, I would say you'd have a very difficult time finding another squad in Best Ball Mania that has this kind of upside. Nick says Kirk is gross, but you had to at least grab one wide receiver there. Yeah, like the thing is, taking Kirk over Loveland in a vacuum is unbelievably bad. Unbelievably bad. Like Loveland and Tyler Warren, in my mind, are by far and away the best picks in round 11. I'm trying to get as much Loveland and Tyler Warren in this range as I possibly can. But what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to have 3 wide receivers with one of them being Jaden Higgins within the first 11 rounds? Trevi Sealer says, if you had this team last year, would you have won? If I got points for Judkins at Ohio State, if I got points for Hampton at UNC, then yes, I would have. However, if I didn't get those college football points, then I'd be screwed. Okay. Jack Besh off 135. God, I'm about to piss myself, but I'm glued to this chair. I'm not leaving this draft. No way. Okay, we're done at quarterback, right? Even if we had the potential double stack for CJ Stroud, even if Stroud makes it to us at 144, I can't take him. Which probably I should not say in this stream, of course. Should probably pretend that I would take him here. Dylan says, Mason, would you expect the videos for the last spot in the Flock Fantasy Draft? I completely expect to make you laughing at the spot. Whenever. And like I said, it's not a super official thing. If we were to get one of y'all in the Flock League, I would have to turn it into an official thing and put out an announcement for everybody to get a shot to submit a team. We can only take one more running back. So we're going to take Spears. And then after that, I honestly prefer Leggett over McMillan and Palmer. But the thing is, do we want to have Leggett over Pitts? F it. We need a wide receiver so bad, especially if we get a tight end available to us later. I don't want to have to pass on the tight end. So we'll take Spears. And we will draft another tight ends later in this draft. Give me 1 second. Okay, much, much better. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I had to pee. And before you ask, no, I did not wash my hands. I haven't in years. So let's move this. Cool says, if you think I invest $500 over BBM drafts, can I profit? You can, but I would say this with anything. Whether it's poker tournaments, whether it's best ball tournaments, whether it's DFS tournaments, no matter what. If you look at a tournament structure where the majority of the money goes to the teams at the top, right? So for Best Ball Mania as an example, this is a $15 million prize pool with $2 million going to first. With that type of structure, even if you're an above average drafter, the most likely outcome is you lose money. If you're an above average drafter, your most likely outcome is you lose a little bit of money. But with the tournament structure, the thing is, if you are a winner, typically you are going to be a massive winner. So an above average drafter did the regular drafts on Underdog that weren't tournaments. And under the assumption you were an above average drafter, which I have no idea who you are. I have no idea if you are. I have no idea if I'm an above average drafter. I could be a garbage drafter for all we know. And maybe I've just gotten lucky over the past few years. You would be a lot more likely to win money in the non-tournament drafts on Underdog, but that money that you would win would most likely be a much smaller amount if you were a winner. So the tournament structure for really any tournament, no matter what it is set up in a way that most likely you are going to be a loser. And if you are a winner, you're going to be a massive winner. The most likely outcome. Okay, Tillman goes 164. Hunter Henry goes 165. And we're going to have to take a lot of these bum wide receivers at the very end of this, right? Okay. Thank God we're going to get Wan'Dale. I would probably rather have Freiermuth over Ertz if we wanted to go with the tight end here. And honestly, I think the tight ends that we're going to have available to us later are probably going to be gross. So we will take Wan'Dale Robinson, hopefully have some type of floor at wide receiver. And then we will have Pat Freiermuth here as well as our second tight end. So here's the squad. Quarterback, we have Burrow double stacked with Chase and Higgins. We have Kyler stacked with McBride. Running back, we have James Cook, Amari and Hampton, Quinshon Judkins, Zach Charbonnet, and Tajee Spears. Wide receiver, we have Chase, Higgins, second Higgins, Jaden Higgins, Christian Kirk, Xavier Legette, Wan'Dale Robinson. And then we're going to take 3 bum wide receivers at the very end. So our team's set up in a way that I think we do have a tremendous amount of upside for weeks 15, 16, 17. The issue that we will have very easily is with so many of our pieces that we are having to rely upon being rookies, such as Hampton, such as Judkins, such as Jaden Higgins. Do we have enough points early in the season to advance and get to the fantasy playoff stretch? That's the question that we have. John saying, hit that like button if you want another draft. Yes, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like if you are wanting another draft after this one. And let's check out Cameron's team at pick 11. He goes, Nico Ladd. I'm interested to know why we took Nico over Genty. I will say this is going to be a unique combo, right? Ladd almost always goes in the middle of the second. So it's a unique combo at the gate. Allen, Worthy, then Kamara, Henderson, Mooney, Mahomes to pair up with Worthy, Keon pair up with Allen, Scattaboo, Tyler. I love the Tyler Warren pick. I love the Dalton Kincaid pick for you. I really like the team. Yeah, I think you have a great team. My only thing is, like, it was interesting to see you go with Nico rather than Genty. Now, let's move this over. Schultz goes 186. We're clearly just taking some bum wide receivers at the end, right? That's the only thing that we can do here, realistically. Mason Taylor goes 189. Adonai Mitchell goes 190. I like pairing Slayton with Wan'Dale here. What if Jackson Dart ends up being good? What if Russ actually has this offensive float at the beginning of the season? And hell, we can go with the Yoshivash pairing as well with our Bengals onslaught. As again, we already mentioned earlier in this stream, the only way that our team is viable is if Burrow leads the NFL in passing. If Burrow leads the NFL in passing, then we're in a great spot because Chase and Higgins are going to be able to carry the boats for us. Now, if that doesn't happen, we're screwed. And this is something that, again, I want to reiterate. I've changed my mind about. I get things wrong all the time. And one of the things that I got wrong last year, and I've been doing it for years now, is I've avoided going with full-blown team onslaughts thinking, oh, okay, once you have your double stack, once you have 3 guys on a singular team, adding a 4th player from an offense, adding a 5th player from an offense, is it going to inherently cap your ceiling and what you can expect from a single week perspective? And then what happened last year was the team that had Joe Burrow, Yoshi Vosh, Chase Higgins, and Chase Brown won Best Ball Mania. So the probability that that happens again is probably very slim. But if the Bengals offense goes nuclear in that way yet again, maybe it will happen. And we're for sure not going with Jermaine Burton after we go Yoshi Bosch. And then we could have taken one of Yoshi Bosch or Burton. Nathaniel says, is it better to draft Dart or Russ as a 3rd quarterback with both Neighbors and Wandale? It depends the tournament that you're in. If you're in the Eliminator where you're not needing to optimize for the final 3 weeks, then I think you could go Russ. However, if you're in Best Ball Mania where you are really just trying to get the highest ceiling possible in weeks 15, 16, 17, then I think Dart's going to be starting at that by that point, so I'd go Dart. And looking at the other team pairings that we have here as well, we have 2 of the Houston receivers with Jaden Higgins, Christian Kirk. We have 2 of the Giants receivers with Wandale and Darius Slayton as well. So really the passing offenses that we are in on with this team is going to be Cincy, Houston, and the Giants. And then we end up getting our guy making it to us with Amari Cooper, who we've taken a decent bit of. So we'll take Amari. And I want to reiterate, probably not the best, but it is what it is. And I just joined another BBM draft, so if you're wanting to get in with me, you know where to find me. Let's pull this up. Where are we picking? We're at 10. And of course, we are right next to Vinny. Of course. Here's my theory on what Vinny does. And I'm not joking about this. Here's my theory. Because if y'all haven't noticed, Vinny is in every, and I mean every single draft with us. Every single one. So I think whenever we're in round 18, Vinny immediately enters in to like every draft tournament he thinks we could possibly say that we're going to do. So when we're in round 18, Vinny runs over and he enters into BBM and the Superflex puppy at the same time. So no matter what I do, he's in there. Or again, the other theory we have is that Vinny secretly lives with me and we secretly get in all these drafts together. Either one. But Braden's in this draft with us at numero uno. Happy to have you. John asking how many Best Ball Mania drafts we have left. We have about 100. So we maybe need to be a little more careful about them. We got the Pound out here. Happy to see you. Rep the King says, imagine Vinny. Yeah. Here's my goal. I mean, here's my hope. And I don't mean to be rude to you, Vinny. No hard feelings. You know I appreciate you. My hope is Vinny has the worst fantasy football season you could possibly ever imagine in 2025. Because if Vinny goes out there and he crushes, then my odds of doing well in the drafts that I live streamed are very, very slim. So the hope that I have is Vinny is a bot and Vinny's drafting a lot of garbage teams. No hard feelings, Vinny, but that's what I got to hope for. Genty goes at 7. We will be boring and we will take Malik Neighbors. I can almost guarantee you that you fast forward 2 months from now, McCaffrey is going to be going ahead of Neighbors in all these drafts. But I have McCaffrey is our second most drafted running back in terms of dollars spent so far this year. So I don't necessarily think that like I need to go even heavier on McCaffrey. We are still very much overweight McCaffrey. And I typically do like our starts with the wide receivers a little bit more. So We will go Neighbors and London. I've mixed a lot of A.J. Brown in the middle of the second round as well. The reason we started going London over A.J. Brown is it does just make sense here if you're at the beginning of the second to go London, and when we're in the middle of the second to go with A.J. Brown, which hopefully will give you the optionality of Jalen Hurts in the fifth. But I know for a fact that when we're here at pick 15, the probability that we get Jalen Hurts making it to us at pick 58 is slim to none. Nick says, don't worry, Vinny will be out of BBM entries by mid-July. Hopefully. Floodgates says, chat, what are we doing when we win the 2 milli? I say we fly to Bora Bora and we celebrate. We do need to have a big party. If, say, like, I win Best Ball Mania, which obviously the probability of this is so slim. And I know we've talked about this for years now, and I've never won BBM. I've gotten close, but I've never done it. What I've always said we would do is in Austin for the lake, you can rent these pretty big boats that you can have like 50 to 100 people on. They're boats that you essentially like, you don't even drive them yourself. Like somebody else drives you out there and they just drive you out in like kind of the middle of the lake, park it at this little island thing. And you swim, people drink, hang out, and just party on like this giant boat. That's what we'll do. If I win Best Ball Mania, I'm going to make y'all sign waivers. But I'll say if you can make it to Austin, we'll give away 50 spots on this boat, and we'll all have a massive party together. Yes. Or we all go in my house. Either one. Or after I win BBM, realistically, I'll probably have a yacht that I live on, and we can all party on that. Alex says, I like Neighbors Bowers for the week 17 correlation. I'm not going to fault you at all for that. My thought process here is I just like my teams more when we go wide receiver out the gate. Okay. Tyreek, JSN, both go. Both players have been falling down drafts. We'll take Devontae Adams here at 34. Honestly, haven't drafted a lot of Devontae Adams, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know why I said honestly twice there, but I don't want to say what we want happening here at the turn, but there's definitely a player that I want. Josh Allen goes 35. What do you want? Do you want to say hi? You want to say hi? Come up here. I'll let you say hi to everyone. I know you need to go outside soon. Come here. All right. What are we going to get when we win Best Ball Mania? 1,000 treats? 1,000 bones? What are we going to get? I know. You're a good girl. If any of y'all find my house on Strava and y'all want to come try to mess with us, this is what's staring you in the face. You want to try to come in this house? Say, there's no way you make it in. There's no way. There you go. You can go under. Crap, we're on the clock. We get Lamar. So actually, this is what we wanted. We wanted one of the elite quarterbacks after starting with the 3 wide receivers out the gate, especially if you start with specifically Malik Neighbors. Because starting with Neighbors out of all these wide receivers here, it does put you in kind of a hole when it comes to your quarterback stacking options later on. Like, there's no way in hell that you're excited to draft Jackson Dart. Like, with you taking Nico at the end of round 1, with you taking St. Brown here, with you taking Brian Thomas here, it's like, oh, okay, I can get Lawrence, I can get Stroud, I can get Goff. When we take Neighbors, it does very much limit us. Kind of the same thing taking Devontae Adams. You're not really that excited to grab Stafford. So we will take Lamar and we'll go for it. Floodgates is 10. Team 10's looking nice. I like it. Ross Kretz says, I saw Vinny when you went full screen. That'd be hilarious. Just some dude in the back with a name tag that says Vinny. Cole says, how do you get into these drafts? Cole, are you on Underdog? Let me know if you're on Underdog. If not, oh boy, I got something to tell you. Got a little something to bless you with. And that is that QR code right there. Use code FLOCK. You also get my rankings draft guide cheat sheets for completely free and a 50% deposit match and a free pick. Hampton goes down at 48. Cole says, yes, I am. So essentially you just have to join the draft at the same time that we are. So if obviously you're not out in these live streams, you're not going to be able to get into our draft specifically. But I count it down like 3, 2, 1 whenever I'm going to join. Doesn't guarantee that you get in there and say you only have like $30 on Underdog and you want to risk it trying to get into $25 BBM. Then I would just wait until the $5, $3 drafts and give yourself a better shot to get in. Okay, George Kittle goes 51. We have a little bit of a run at wide receiver here, which obviously we're in a spot in which we can look at running backs at the turn coming up. Whoa. Darnell Mooney here from Jay. I'm assuming that was him queuing up a player and then accidentally letting it time out. So Darnell Mooney going at 52 maybe gives us the ability to have a little bit of a unique team here. Henry asking if the Braylon Allen news scares us off, Brees. I did not see the Braylon Allen news. What was it? Braylon Allen. There's a blurb that says Braylon Allen could have a significant role. Sports Illustrated Albert Beer believes Braylon Allen's role in the Jets offense could be significant. I'll read this more in depth in a second. We'll take Chuba Hubbard. I've talked about Hubbard possibly being one of these historical dead zone backs that I'm a little bit scared of, but at the same time, for whatever reason, he's like top 5 in my most drafted guys this year. I definitely think that there is downside risk of taking Hubbard. It's hard to fully unwrap. Okay, let's see this. Braylon Allen. Sports Illustrated Albert Breer, believes Braylon Allen's role in this Jets offense could be pretty significant. It's hard to fully unwrap what this means for the Jets offense without seeing it on the field, but if they are seeking to emulate the Lions and run Allen in a significant role alongside Brees, it's certainly possible Allen could have fantasy value this year. So the coaching staff didn't say anything. This is just some beat reporters speculating on something that may or may not happen. If I'm reading that correctly, then no, I'm not concerned. We will take Kenneth Walker as our second running back at 63. So now wide receiver, we have Neighbors, London Adams, running back, Chuba, and Walker, and then the elite quarterback with Lamar. But let's move this over. Cole says, how often do you do these drafts? Pretty much every day. We're on vacation right now, so I know I'm not going to be able to do one Friday night this week. I probably will not be able to do one Saturday, depending on how the race goes. And I'm going to be flexible throughout the entire week. Like, don't scream at me if I miss a day. But typically every day. Elite Bean, I do not know when the $3 tournaments are coming back. I think you just got to maybe be a little patient. Yeah, but I pretty much do these drafts every day. And if you want to know when we are live, I always try to shoot for 8 p.m. Eastern, but sometimes we have to go earlier. Like today, I have to pick up my brothers from the airport. So hit the bell next to the subscribe button, and YouTube will tell you when we're live. Let's move this down. Shakir goes 78. Judkins off 79. I'm fine with any of these guys that we're going to get. Caleb Johnson goes 80. Vinny on the clock. Vinny started 5 receivers in the first 6 rounds. Vinny goes Swift. I'm going to take Diggs over Pollard. Diggs gives us the optionality to go with May later. Through the first 6 rounds, we only have 3 wide receivers. Now, they are solid receivers, but still at the same time, we know typically we are going to see the wide receiver fall off soon. I kind of like the running backs in round 8 more than the receivers a lot of times. So going Diggs here at 82, I'm going to feel comfortable with whoever we get at 87. Ayuk off, so we'll go Pollard. Pollard was at the top of ADP with our last pick. We passed on him, but like I said, just kind of because I view Pollard similar to the other running backs that we get in round 8. Nothing against Pollard himself. I'm completely fine taking him here. I drafted a decent amount of Pollard last year. Would have been a lot better if the Titans offense was relevant. John says, Diggs was moving like a coked up madman at OTAs. You love to see it. I wonder why. Whoop says, should have went the Niners, bro. The schedule is elite. I know the schedule is great. Like I said, that's why CMC, well, one of the reasons why McCaffrey is my second most invested into player. But I don't know if like the schedule being great is a benefit for Ayuk. Ross Craig telling us to look at the first picks team. First pick has Chase, Higgins, Flowers at receiver. Oh, okay, this first pick is better than ours was. Actually, I don't know. We got James Cook there instead of Zay Flowers, right? But this team at 1, who do we take at the 6-7 turn alongside Burrow? I think we took another running back there. We took Judkins. But that team at 1 has a phenomenal start. Chase, Higgins, Flowers at receiver, Hampton, Henderson at running back, McBride at tight end with Burrow double stacked, obviously that as the bring back. They're going to maybe be in a similar boat to what we were in last draft, where they're going to have to find early season running back production, because through the first 7 rounds, they have both Hampton and Henderson, who have a tremendous amount of long-term upside, but maybe questionable upside in the short term. They go Kyler and Higgins, so this really looks like they are following down that same build that we had in the last draft. Mung says, Mason, do you have 0% Derrick Henry? I don't have 0% Derrick Henry. I have damn close to 0%. The times I've been taking Derrick Henry is like, I would have taken him if he would have fallen to us with like Jahmyr Gibbs in this draft. Like if I was the team at 7, I probably would have gone Derrick Henry at 18. The only time I've taken him again is whenever we can look at the board and go, Derrick Henry never falls this far, so whoever I'm attaching him to in round 1, this is going to be a super unique combo. But outside of that, at ADP, no, I'm never taking Derrick Henry. And there's a good shot I lose money because of it. Maybe I'm just being stubborn, but it is what it is. Zabronsky says, chat, should I trade Rice for the 102, aka Hampton? I would. Hampton's day 1, a top 5 dynasty running back with 0 red flags. Okay, Tracy goes 103. Johnny 104. We're just going to take Mark Andrews. Like, I think you can maybe roll the dice, see if we get Andrews on the way back around in round 10. But the thing is, are we that excited to take an unstacked Fields? Are we that excited to take an unstacked Caleb? Am I really needing Keon Coleman instead of Mark Andrews here? Probably not, right? So if we would have had a falling value that I would have been very excited about, like if Luther Burden would have made it to us here at 106, maybe we would have gone like Luther Burden, seeing if we could get Mark Andrews making it to us at 111. But I don't necessarily think that there's a big reason to try to roll those dice here. And Bateman goes 109, so it makes me feel kind of better about taking that Mark Andrews pick. Now the question is, do we go with Shaheed as our wide receiver 5 to just fill out wide receiver depth? I'd rather not. Do we go with an unstacked Fields to just chase rushing upside and just grab like Mason Taylor late? Or do we go Charbonnet? We're just going to go Justin Fields at 111. Obviously, I prefer Fields with the Garrett Wilson team, but when you are taking Fields, you very much are just going, what if he can get back to, I mean, I can pull this up. I don't think we've even pulled up the site once on the stream. What if he can get back to what he was in Chicago? Because we have seen the crazy ceiling before from Justin Fields, where he was the QB5 in fantasy points based off 76 rushing yards per game. So we will mix him in. Obviously, taking Fields alongside Lamar, we are now done at quarterback. Okay. Travis Etienne off 119. I know some people like the bring back with Diggs. That's not the main reason I'm taking Fields here, if we're going to be completely honest. Okay, hopefully also we see some quarterbacks go in through the rest of this draft. If we would have had like a receiver we would have been excited about in round 10, I think we would have gone that direction. The thing is, if I was going to take a non-quarterback here, it was most likely going to be a running back. And when we're already sitting with Chuba, Walker, Pollard, maybe we should have just gone with Charbonnet. But it's not something I'd have been that excited about. And dear God, I think the Fields pick was bad. Maybe we should have just gone Zach Charbonnet. Because realistically, you now see the running back position. You've had that tier drop. If Drake May makes it to us at 130, where we could have just paired up May with Diggs. Like if May makes it to us at 130, our Justin Fields pick was horrendous. And we should have just gone Zach Charbonnet and said F it. If May goes before then, I don't feel that bad about it, but we'll see. Because no matter what, even if like Drake May makes it to us at 135, I'm not taking Drake May when we already have Lamar and Fields. Christian Kirk goes 126. Vinny says, thanks for not taking Charbonnet. I appreciate it. Dear God, my guy. Making me feel bad here. Daniel wanted us to take May as well. I'm not doing it. Maybe I could try to pretend that I'm doing it. See if we can get a value falling. I'm going to take Tyler Warren, and I'm just going to take my L and say the Justin Fields pick was horrible. We should have gone with Zach Charbonnet. Just gotten a Drake May on the way back around at 130. But now we're pretty much just running back and wide receiver through the rest of this draft. The big Q goes 133. Lawrence off the board as well. We will take Tajee Spears, pair him up with Tony Pollard, and go, what if the Tennessee Titans see a dramatic improvement with the overall offensive output with Cam Ward under center? So now at wide receiver, we have Neighbors, London, Adams, Diggs. Running back, we have Chuba, Walker, Pollard, Spears. Quarterback, we have Lamar stacked with Andrews. We have an unstacked Fields for rushing upside. And to be honest with you, I'm not taking Mason Taylor now. That we go Tyler Warren. And then at tight end, we have Mark Andrews and Tyler Warren, and we're probably done drafting tight end. Alex says, do you like taking Charbonnet with Kenneth Walker? So taking a handcuff in an underdog tournament does open you up to potentially a unique outcome in the final 3 weeks, because we can go through the hypothetical, and let's just use Tony Pollard and Tajee Spears here, because those are the two guys that we shared in the same backfield. What happens if Pollard in week 3 gets a high ankle sprain and he misses 8 weeks of the season? Well, Tony Pollard's advance rate is going to be very low. There won't be too many teams in the playoff stretch that have Tony Pollard. But if you have Spears, you could keep yourself afloat, advance, and then if Pollard does turn out to be a top 5 running back in weeks 15, 16, 17, and he's at a lower advance rate because he had the injury earlier in the season, you could have leverage over the rest of the field. So you could view that with Pollard, Spears. You could view that with Walker, Charbonnet. I'm not going out of my way trying to handcuff our running backs by any stretch of the imagination. But I think you can see an argument for it. Drake May makes it down to 138, which just makes our Justin Fields pick look like the worst pick in this draft, which it very easily could have been, outside of the Darnell Mooney pick. Okay, we are looking at running back and receiver through the rest of this. And so far, running back, we have Chuba, Walker, Pollard, Spears. Receiver, we have Neighbors, London, Adams, Diggs. Cedric Tillman goes 152. I'll take Romeo Doubs. We'll go Romeo Doubs 154 with the expectations that one of these running backs makes it back to us at 159, where it doesn't exactly matter who we take. Do we go with Braylon Allen with the positive blurb, thinking that maybe he could increase his ADP over the coming weeks? Do we take a receiver and then we're going to do that? We're going to take a wide receiver. Did I get him? No, never mind. We got Braylon Allen. I don't know what we should have done there. My hesitation with taking Braylon Allen is it does seem that some of the running backs that you're going to be looking at later in the draft, like at the 15, 16 turn, maybe compare. Whereas maybe we get a few additional usable weeks out of Adam Thielen or a player like Jalen Noel instead. I don't know what the direction we should have gone there is. Overall, I think we made a couple bad picks in this draft. I still like the team overall. Like, I think our team is live to definitely advance and maybe make some noise in the final 3 weeks. Quarterback, we have Lamar and Fields. Lamar is stacked with Andrews. Fields is unstacked with just hopes for rushing upside. Tight end, we have Andrews and Tyler Warren. Wide receiver, we have Neighbors, London, Adams, Diggs, Romeo Doubs. Running back, we have Chuba, Walker, Pollard, Spears, Braylon Allen. What's awkward here as well is like, I don't know if we should be done drafting running backs at this point. Henry says the article sucked us in. Yes, y'all did suck me in. But we'll see. I think we stay flexible. Obviously, no matter what, we need 3 additional receivers. We know we need 3 more wide receivers for this team. The question is, do we go with a 4th receiver as well? Do we go with the 6th running back, or do we go with the 3rd tight end? Because maybe we do end up going Mason Taylor and just saying, F it, let's get a stack for Fields anyway. No matter what, we know we're not going to take another quarterback with Lamar and Fields. And hell, no, the reason we took Braylon Allen is, oh my gosh, Braylon Allen's going to have a massive receiving role. Justin Fields will have a stack there. Obviously, I'm joking. That doesn't matter. Ooh, crap, our microphone almost fell. Hunter Henry goes. I've done about 50 BBM teams or drafts. Mason Taylor goes 176. So that idea goes out the window. No matter what, we know we need another receiver. So let's just take Damari Douglas and we'll kick the can down the road in determining if we're going to draft. I don't think there's no reason for us to try to draft 9 wide receivers on this team. We have Neighbors, London, Adams, Diggs. Why am I thinking that we need to potentially draft 9 receivers? We're only going to take 8 receivers. So that does open us up to either the 3rd tight end or the 6th running back. I think we can stay flexible to whatever the value is. God, I have no idea what to do. I feel like I've said that 10,000 times this draft. I think we go with DJ Giddens. I'd rather have the 6th running back here than the 3rd tight ends. Especially with our only Lamar stack being Andrews. I think we do kind of have to rely on some of those Andrews weeks in the final 3 weeks of the season. So let's take the 6th running back. I like the Giddens profile a lot. And we are going to live to fight another day. But wide receiver, we have Neighbors, London, Adams, Diggs, Romeo Dobbs, Demario Douglas. Quarterback, we have Lamar, Fields. Running back, Chuba, Walker, Pollard, Spears, Braylon Allen, DJ Giddens. Tight end, we have Andrews and Tyler Warren. And we're going to take 2 more bomb wide receivers at the very end of this. And we got a bunch of people saying F in the chat. Rip. What happened? Y'all hate the... Or are y'all grading out Braden's team at 1? I don't know. But sorry if I took DJ Giddens if y'all absolutely hate that. Oh, did y'all lose me? Well, here's what's going on. The girlfriend just had to hop in a call in the other room. I'm sorry if y'all lost me for a second. She just had to get a call in the other room. I'm sure the Wi-Fi's spazzing. And I will probably have to drop this because if she's having Wi-Fi problems, that's an issue as well. So appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Again, I'm going to try to live stream as much as I can this week. Hopefully we'll go every day other than Friday. And I really hope you can hop in some of these drafts with us. Again, if you're new to Underdog, definitely go in the $5 drafts. Hopefully they drop another $3 tournament for y'all soon. But you can find a link to Underdog Fantasy in the chat, in the description, in the comment section that says draft with us here. Or you just scan this QR code either way. But if you use promo code FLOCK, you'll get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, you'll get my 2025 rankings and draft guide cheat sheets. And on top of that, you are going to be able to get in a draft pretty much anywhere. You can see the states that Underdog is available in on the screen right here. Yes, it's in New York, California, Texas, Florida, Michigan, blah, 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 blah. But State of Grind, thank you for letting me know. But appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. And I will take 2 disgusting wide receivers here. The first one being Amari. So we've taken him in every draft.